The adjournment. The whip to move.
Beg to move this House to now adjourn.
The question is that this House do now adjourn. Sir David Amess.
Well, Mr. Speaker, while it's a little bit disappointing, there isn't a packed House to listen to what I have to say about Southend. Looking around the chamber, we have the quality. If I could begin by congratulating my right honourable friend, the member for Rayleigh, on being re-elected as the MP with a huge majority, and my honourable friend, the member for Southend, East and Rochford, for similarly being re-elected with a large majority. But I couldn't be more pleased that it is my right honourable friend who is replying to this debate, because he's only too well aware that there aren't that many members left who can recall a Conservative majority government. And of course, he and I worked together in the constituency of Basildon. And during that time, I think that we managed to change the public perception of Basildon, and it became the magnificent town it is today. And we also managed to turn around some negative things. With 2 days to go, we stopped the closure of the A&E unit. We stopped the destruction of the silver birch forest. We saved 3 secondary schools from being closed. And we got 10,000 council houses which had been sold to be repurchased because of clay heave. So I say to my right honourable friend, and I mean this in the nicest sense possible, now that there is a Conservative government and we are blessed with a Speaker who believes that every member of Parliament elected to this place is equal and that all our voices will be heard, I'm absolutely determined that this Conservative government, which I support, will act now not only on behalf of my constituents in Southend to make it an even better place than it is, but the country. So in future, I don't expect ministers to just pay lip service to what I'm asking them to do. I expect action. And tonight, Mr. Speaker, is the start of the action. So I hope at the end of the short debate that we're having, my honourable friend will see to it that Southend is granted city status. Now, he has been followed in the position that he's occupying tonight by his right honourable friend, the Secretary of State, and also the Chief Whip, who have both responded when we were in a coalition government. But now we are a Conservative government, I fully expect city status to be granted to Southend. Because in every respect, Southend qualifies to be a city. It certainly has its own distinct identity. Now, the local authority has no overall control. There are 22 Conservatives, by far and away the largest party, and the Labour, Liberal, Independents, UKIP Independents, UKIP councillors have all joined together to stop the Conservatives controlling the local authority. Quite how that works out from a philosophical point of view, I don't know. But there is no question at all that the Conservative Council did an absolutely magnificent job in restoring the fortunes of Southend. We enjoy excellent communications and transport links in Southend. The A127 and A13 have both been upgraded. And the most recent development is the extension, which my right honourable friend is very well aware of, the Tesco's junction along the A127, which has to deal with the congestion from employees who work at RBS site, from the Tesco Extra store, and now with the presence of London Southend Airport, it's greatly relieved congestion in the area. Now, I'm not sure that constituents understand the constraints on ministers. Ministers are unable to ask questions, they're unable to initiate debates. But my honourable friend, the member for Southend, East and Rochford, and I have discussed a number of points, and we share very similar views as far as the railway lines are concerned. C2C are absolutely magnificent. When I was a member for Basildon, it used to be known as a misery line. It now is known as the happy line. And I absolutely congratulate C2C. But my honourable friend and I do have some concerns about the Great Anglia railway line. Recently, I did a public journey with the Chief Executive, and I was very frank with him. I said I thought it was a rotten service. The prices were too high, the rolling stock was absolutely clapped out, and what was he going to do about it? Well, the Secretary of State for Transport has now opened up a bidding process. I understand there are 3 companies in the bidding process, and I hope that as local members of Parliament who all enjoy or suffer this particular rail service, I've just got the one station in the area that I represent pretty well, I hope that we will be consulted as the bidding process continues. Now, Mr. Speaker, if I hear another colleague say, Southend Airport is fantastic, I have to say there's a very good side to it, and there's a slightly challenging side because, of course, the aircraft takes off and lands over the area that I represent. And, of course, not all residents who were there before the airport expanded are absolutely delighted with the increased noise. Nevertheless, I absolutely accept that last year, to have over 1 million passengers, I don't know whether my honourable friend for Wild Forest has flown from Southend Airport. Well, he must be one of the few members who hasn't, but we had over 1 million passengers in the last year, and the airport now has 5 airline operators: Flybe, EasyJet, I don't know if Kate Moss was on that particular flight recently in Southend, Adria Airways, Skywork Airlines and Volotea. And it's very, very popular, and it's bringing all sorts of investment into the town. Now, my honourable friend and I are absolutely delighted that Southend United won the recent playoff and now have been promoted to the First Division. I have to confess, Mr. Speaker, we were losing 1-0, and the Member of Parliament for Southend West decided to go 2 minutes before the end of the match. I was walking down Wembley Way, huge cheers, and of course found out that Southend had equalised. I thought it was too late to turn back, and it was when I was, I think, on Stratford station when I could get the answer on my mobile phone. We won 6-7 on penalties. But absolutely magnificent achievement for Southend United, and another good reason why Southend should be declared a city. Now, my honourable friend recently had the pleasure of visiting a surgical holdings company. This is a family-run business that manufactures and repairs surgical equipment to private and public hospitals. The repairing of surgical instruments saves the NHS thousands of pounds already, but my honourable friend has told me that if this company continues to expand, it will save even more money for the NHS. There's already been tremendous investment in Southend. So in the last years of the coalition government, 310 new businesses were created in Southend West alone. We now have a new magnificent £3 million conference centre at the end of the pier, the biggest, longest pier in the world, which was brought down the River Thames on sailing barges. Absolutely a wonderful thing for Southend to have. And during those marvellous years of the Conservative Council, under the wonderful leadership of former Councillor Nigel Holcroft and Councillor John Lamb, who is now the leader, we received 2.5 million funding as part of the city deal. I know my right honourable friend is well briefed on that issue. And we got £34.5 million for infrastructure projects as part of the growth deal, including upgrades to the Kent Elms Junction and the Bells Junction. We got £800,000 funding for the continuation and rollout of the Growth Hub across South Essex Local Enterprise Partnership. Now, I know that my honourable friend and I have recently been contacted by the leader of Essex County Council, because there is a proposal by the County Council which is being opposed by Southend Council, who believe that the focus should be on achieving the best economic results rather than organisational changes. I think we're still to have meetings on that issue to find out what will be in Southend's best interest. But I certainly would like to see the joint Anglia, Ruskin, Southend and Rochford Business Park for medical excellence develop even further, which is in the vicinity of the airport. This would be a major regeneration project to provide for major development opportunities for innovation in medical technology. We now have the wonderful, probably the best library in the country, which is at the Forum. This is a marvellous part of extension of Essex University, and a member of the royal family will be opening this building, so I'm advised, later this year, and I do hope that in years to come we won't just be celebrating the new year at Trafalgar Square and outside the House of Commons. We'll be having the countdown at the Forum in Southend. There is a problem, Mr. Speaker, of cliff slippage, but the council hasn't used any government money for that. Really, if you look and have a picnic on the side of the cliffs, you look across the wonderful Thames, you would actually think you were in the Mediterranean. We have just the most wonderful gift, the moving picture that the River Thames presents us. But if I say to my honourable friend, not public money, but if there's any way through his department and others, we can try and get more investment to deal with clay slippage, our constituents certainly would be very, very grateful. Because at the top of the cliff, we're going to have a new purpose-built museum which can securely house the Saxon Prince find from Prittlewell. In 2003, archaeologists excavated the site and discovered an undisturbed 7th century chamber grave beneath a mound, just 100 yards from the entrance to Priory Park. This is a wonderful find, and I do hope that the development of a new museum of the Thames will be supported by the government. It's gained a number of agencies' support, including the British Museum, Thurrock Council and the Royal Opera House at Purfleet. But I have to say to my right honourable friend, one of the many things that would make me very happy as a result of this debate would be for there to be a marina in Southend. Many, many years ago, when Norman Clark and Norman Harris were the leader and deputy leader of Southend Council, it just failed by one vote. The last attempt to have a marina in Southend was in 2008. It would be an enormous attraction, a wonderful facility for local residents. It would provide a destination, a departure port for vessels from upper limits of the Thames and Medways whose passages to the continent around the coast of Britain or further afield. By getting city status, I think the marina would really be the jewel in the crown. At the weekend, I had the privilege to attend Thames Estuary Yacht Club, an absolutely amazing development. 2 years ago, they only had 130 members. They'd have 76 members volunteer to build this wonderful facility on the Thames Estuary. The clubhouse cost £200,000 and now people are queuing up to join this club. I think the Southend Pier is just the most wonderful experience anyone could enjoy. It's not just about Ross's ice cream and Cossels and Mussels and Winkles. It's about the wonderful experience of going out on one of the trains to the end of the Thames. It's a little bit like walking on water, frankly. But any investment that the government might direct to our way to just further boost the regeneration of the pier would be greatly welcome. We have found a shipwreck of international importance off Southend, which dates back to 1665. It's very well preserved and is second only to the Mary Rose. Apparently, it was part of the fleet which brought Charles II home in the late 17th century. It's currently on the heritage risk list, and it would be great if a billionaire would give us some money to help with that particular in investment opportunity. Leon Sea is just the most wonderful area anyone could have in a constituency. Many thriving businesses there, including Fancy Nancy, who's doing extremely well at the moment. But certainly the Lee Creek does need dredging, and it costs about £200,000 to get a proper dredge done there. And I should say to my right honourable friend, I am slightly concerned about the activities of DP World in the effect that they're having on the Thames Estuary. Now, Mr. Speaker, as I draw towards the end of my speech, Southend will be the alternative city of culture in 2017. This is going to be a much, much bigger event than that surrounding the official city of culture. But I say to my right honourable friend, if we are to be the alternative city of culture, it would be very useful if we were actually a city. We've been recognised as a centre for excellence in terms of culture with a Purple Flag Award, an accolade that only 31 towns and cities have actually had. In the town, we have a Village Green Music Festival, we have folk festivals, we have a gathering that is going to rival the V Festival, and I pay tribute to the Metal Culture organisation. But in particular, I pay tribute to David Stanley and the Music Project, because this is a life-changing organisation that has enabled people with learning difficulties to demonstrate the great gifts which they have been given. And I'm delighted to tell the House that they will be performing at the London Palladium. Unfortunately, I've just had a phone call from Bruce Forsyth to say that he can't be with us on this occasion because it clashes with Father's Day, which I think does take preference over this, but we are going to have a number of the Tiller girls there. And this will be happening on Sunday, June the 21st at the London Palladium. Southend is going to have a sculpture which is going to be done by not the pop artist, someone else called Rod Stewart. He's designed a sculpture to mark the presence of Southend becoming a city, and I hope his application will be successful through the Arts Council. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful for having this opportunity to share with the House just what a wonderful place Southend-on-Sea is. Probably it's the finest seaside resort, not just in the country, but in the world. But I say again to my right honourable friend, he and other ministers now do have the power to respond positively what members of Parliament are asking for in their constituents. So if my right honourable friend wants to make me very happy, I hope that he would do everything he possibly can to ensure that Southend receives the investment that it warrants and that it is declared a city.
Yeah.
Will the Minister of State at the Department of Communities and Local Government, Mr. Mark Francois, to reply to the debate?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. May I congratulate my honourable friend, the member for Southend West, for securing this adjournment debate. As he has already told the House, we have known each other and been friends for many years. So I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate him on his knighthood and on being re-elected with such a healthy majority at the general election a few weeks ago. I'm also pleased to see my honourable friend, the member for Rochford and Southend East, in his place as well. I would like to congratulate him on his re-election, and indeed it's very good to see him in good health tonight too. My honourable friend for Southend West does his customary excellent job of promoting Southend, and rightly so. He lists some significant achievements of which government and local partners can be proud. Southend is a key part of the Thames Gateway, which is one of the biggest opportunities for investment in the UK and remains a very high priority for this government. As such, I am very pleased to have been appointed as Minister for the Thames Gateway. South Essex has received some significant private sector investments in recent years. For example, the £1.5 billion investment in the new London Gateway by Dubai Ports, in which the Prime Minister and UK Trade and Investment played key supporting roles, and the £100 million plus investment in London Southend Airport by Stobarts give just some idea of the scale of economic growth in the area. Regarding Southend specifically, I believe there are many encouraging signs of a new confidence in the area, on the back of which the private sector investment is already following. National arts organisations such as Metal Culture, which my honourable friend referred to, are championing and helping local artists from their base in Southend and are helping drive the arts sector locally. They put on the annual Village Green Festival in Chalkwell Park, which is now attracting 40,000 visitors a year and growing. The Forum in Elmer Square in the heart of Southend opened in late 2013. It's an excellent facility where residents can access the combined resources of the Municipal Library, the University of Essex and South Essex College Libraries, a very innovative approach. And the relocated Beecroft Art Gallery, now housed in the old library building on Victoria Avenue with the new Enterprise Centre, the base on which business support services will be provided through the City Deal funded Growth Hub. All these are positive signs of resurgence, as indeed is the successful promotion of Southend United to League One after winning a nail-biting playoff at Wembley, which my honourable friend gave us some insight to a few moments ago. In football terms, Southend is literally on the up, Mr. Speaker. Regarding the city deal, the government has also been playing its part. 18 months ago, my right honourable friend, now the Secretary of State, signed off the Southend-on-Sea city deal, capitalising on opportunities to increase entrepreneurship and innovation and to realise Southend's full potential. The key ambition at the heart of the city deal is to transform the centre of Southend in order to make it a more attractive place in which to invest. Over time, the Victoria Avenue gateway to the town centre will be remodelled. The city deal will have a catalytic effect, signalling government's confidence in Southend. As part of the city deal, the government contributed £1.8 million for the direct business support programme and over £650,000 of funding for the Central Library redevelopment. This is creating incubator space for up to 10 businesses at any one time, supporting over 100 jobs. It will lever in private sector investment, with over £4 million of such secured so far. It will provide direct business support for SMEs across the South Essex area. Over 3,000 businesses have been engaged so far, and over 170 assisted to improve performance. John Lamb, the Conservative Deputy Leader of Southend at the time, said, I quote, "Government is showing confidence in what we are achieving in our town." Turning now to city status, which is a subject that I know very well is close to my honourable friend's heart. The awarding of city status is part of the royal prerogative, and royal charters have tended to be awarded to mark significant occasions such as the millennium or royal jubilees. Like individual honours, they are not published criteria, but issues that are considered include the history of a town, its vibrancy, its identity and its community. All areas, to be fair, where Southend has a strong case to make. In recent years, the Cabinet Office have run competitions and sought bids, but we do not know when the next process might be. Although I have to say my honourable friend's intentions are now well and truly on the record, and when there is next an opportunity to bid, I am sure that he, and indeed his honourable friend for Rochford and Southend East, will be very firmly at the front of the queue. Building on the city deal experience, the government has since agreed growth deals with all of England's 39 local enterprise partnerships, or LEPs. The South East LEP has one of the largest allocations of local growth funding. So far, £488 million has been committed through to 2021. For Southend, which remains a critical anchor at the eastern end of the Thames Gateway, the growth deal has committed £35.6 million to A127 improvements. That is on top of funding previously approved. A number of junctions along the route, including at Bell and Cuckoo Corners and at Kent Elms, will be improved, and I'm sure that all South Essex residents will be grateful for those improvements. The government's also investing £6.7 million to develop the Southend Growth Hub and help improve the area around the Victoria Avenue gateway to Southend, which I mentioned a few minutes ago. Growth Deal Expansion has also committed £3.2 million to the development of a 55-acre business park adjacent to London Southend Airport as part of the Southend and Rochford Joint Area Action Plan, the JAP as it's known, and I pay tribute to the cooperation between those two authorities to make that a reality. I recognise the positive effect regional airports can have on economic growth, and London Southend Airport itself has certainly been a success. Over 1 million passengers a year and scooping industry awards for growth and indeed for service. The government has also very recently announced the 3 companies selected to tender for the renewal of the East Anglia Rail franchise, which includes the Liverpool Street to Southend Victoria line. Those 3 competitors are Abellio East Anglia, First East Anglia and National Express East Anglia trains. That process will begin in earnest when invitations to tender are issued in August, and we expect the new franchise to operate from October of next year, which should benefit Southend commuters travelling to London, who indeed do deserve an improved service over the one which they are receiving at present. Mr. Speaker, we've seen new private sector investments already on the back of this newfound confidence in Southend. A refurbished Palace Hotel, a decision just the other evening to greenlight the Marine Plaza development, and exciting proposals with significant support from the Coastal Communities Fund of around £1.2 million for a new lagoon. Perhaps In the future, it will also be possible to see a development of the marina, which I know is something that my honourable friend has felt passionately about for some considerable time. We should not rest on our laurels, but the future for inward investment remains bright. It's important as we go forward that Southend capitalises on these opportunities. My right honourable friend the Chancellor used his first speech after the election to announce a new round of devolution deals and city-county deals. This represents a further opportunity for Southend to work together with its neighbours and take greater control of its own economic destiny, and to build on the many advantages that it has, and to work with the private sector to deliver the skills, jobs, businesses and investment that the country needs. My honourable friend made much of Southend's cultural advantages, and a recent report from Warwick University Business School claims that nationally the creative sector is growing at 4 times the rate of the economy as a whole, so Southend can expect to benefit from its growing specialisation in this sector. The attractiveness of Southend, of which the cultural offer is a key component, means that people want to relocate there, which in turn is leading to clear interest from the private sector in investing in Southend, in businesses and in new housing as well. These are all advantages which Southend has been successful in exploiting over the last few years, and which we have every reason to believe it will continue to do so for the benefit of the town and its residents. And I must say that they will have no firmer champion in trying to exploit those advantages than my honourable friend, the member for Southend West. He has, Mr. Speaker, put the government on notice tonight that he intends to be tenacious in promoting the interests of his constituents. I think, in a sense, we already knew that because he's been doing that for over 30 years. But nevertheless, we cannot say that we have not been told. In sum, I believe that the future for Southend is a positive one. I thank my honourable friend again for his warm words and his recognition that this government has helped lay the foundations for the future growth and the prosperity of Southend, and we can fully expect my right honourable friend for Southend West, and indeed his neighbour, my honourable friend for Rochford and Southend East, to continue to keep us up to the mark in making sure that Southend remains a wonderful place in which to live and work, a wonderful resort where people can take time on holiday, a place where they can enjoy the cultural advantages that that place has to offer, and also a wonderful place where they can enjoy themselves with their families. For all these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I believe Southend has a wonderful future, not least as it is represented by 2 excellent members of Parliament.
Order. The question is that this House do now adjourn. As many as are that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Order. Order.